I have put over 7,000 hours into Destiny 2 over the years, and this final update still has me looking forward to putting in so many more. Why Destiny 2? What is it about the PvP that I find so engaging that it makes me want to come back? I've thought about it and I wanted to share what I love and what I hate and what Destiny 2 brings to the table for me. Destiny 2 has amazing movement and gunplay, sure, but Destiny PvP has always sat in this weird middle ground between a competitive shooter and a sandbox game. It keeps people coming back for more because it rewards different players for different playstyles, and that's the heart of Destiny. The guy who blindly shoulder charges a corner into 3 people and somehow wins the round? That's Destiny 2, baby. The guy who plays a Trials weekend and maintains a 3+ KD 90% win rate through positioning, teamwork, and fundamentals? That's also Destiny 2. Both of these players get a feeling of satisfaction from this. I have spent 7,000 hours chasing improvement in Destiny PvP because it's a game that gives me the feeling of agency, variety, movement, gunplay, mastery, and chaos, all bundled up into this pretty little package with space wizards using their space guns and space wizard abilities. Alright, a little backstory. Believe it or not, I actually didn't enjoy Destiny PvP when I started this game. I started Destiny 2 in Season 11, which is Season of Arrivals, the season right before the Beyond Light Stasis expansion. I never had any Destiny 1 experience, and I never played Destiny 2 for the first 3 years it was out. Destiny 2 was one of the first games I played after switching to PC and trying to learn mouse and keyboard from controller. I considered myself a fairly decent PvP gamer on console and on controller before switching to PC. I used to play Apex a lot, and I was even Apex Predator the first season they introduced it. So I was pretty decent at PvP shooters. But man, when I tried Destiny 2 PvP, I got my ass whooped. Maybe it was just learning how to use the mouse and keyboard, but there was so much shit going on in sixes, I could barely kill anyone. Everything melted me before I knew where I was being hit from, and everyone just seemed to know much more than I did. I just chalked it up to not having good gear, so I grinded PvE and I kitted myself out with decent gear. Shout out Gnawing Hunger meta at the time, and I went back in with my Gnawing Hunger and still got my butt whooped in sixes. I didn't really particularly enjoy playing sixes, so I stuck to PvE and I continued to grind Destiny. Somehow, I stumbled into Trials of Osiris, and whoa, there's nothing like loading into Trials of Osiris for the very first time. My heart would skip beats loading into Trials, the music loading in, Saint 14's voice announcing me into the match. Each individual person got their own emote and little cutscene. Oh my god, it felt so grand and like the stakes were so high. And the biggest thing, there was a clear goal in that game mode. Get 7 wins in a row and make it to the lighthouse. In sixes, I didn't really feel invested in a win or a loss because I was more or less just playing to play. But with Trials, the clear goal, plus the way the game felt through playing, the movement, the sliding, the hand cannons, the distinct floatiness but also snappiness, made the game addicting and enjoyable for me because 1, it felt good to play, 2, it gave me goals, and 3, it gave me multiple avenues to improve. I could improve my game mechanic, ability knowledge, my build crafting, my map knowledge, my aim, my movement, and these were all realistic avenues to get better, and they seemed achievable because I noticed I was getting consistently beat by other people who were better than me at these things. I got beat up in my first season playing Trials of Osiris. My first season, I lost more matches than I won. But yet, after 152 games of Trials of Osiris, I somehow won 7 wins in a row. I got my first flawless. Destiny had me by the balls, and all I could think about during the day was Destiny 2. I was seeing other people's abilities, I was seeing what I was getting killed with, different guns, and I started my own little devious build crafting era. Wait, there's an exotic armor that does what? There's an auto rifle with 4 barrels on it, and it shoots like a full auto shotgun? How are their shotguns killing me from there? I'm using the same shotgun and I'm shooting at their chest. Why isn't it working for me? I was a student in physical therapy school at the time. Doctorate of Physical Therapy School. And I was a good student, don't get me wrong. But all my mind could think about was Destiny 2. I felt like I was so behind because I never played Destiny 1, and I missed the first 3 years of Destiny 2. There was so much out there for me to learn and absorb and get better at. I'm a competitive guy. I like goals and I like to see improvement. And Trials of Osiris opened my eyes that in a 3v3 setting, I can show my skill improvement. I can become better, win more, die less, and just feel more agency and control during the games. Well, next season I played 577 games and I only got flawless twice. But I was making improvements. I had more wins than losses this time, and my KD wasn't negative. I continued to grind. I learned more Destiny 2, and the best part, the grind actually got me results. The next season, 65 flawlesses, 1.44 KD, 3 times more wins ratio than I had losses. I continued to play and get better at Destiny, so here's my trials report tracker where it shows that I started here and I started to get better. I had to take a break because school was getting busy and I had to lock in, but then I continued to play and grind, and for the past 3 years I've been consistently above a 2KD in trials, and I even started streaming and doing trials carries and trials helps and helping people get to the lighthouse for their first time. And just this past weekend I played with a 3+ KD and a ton of games played and a good win rate, I think. I've learned a lot about Destiny 2 PvP, and I've thought about what is it that I enjoy, or what is it that I think that I enjoy? What am I looking forward to, and how are other people feeling when they play Destiny? I think of builds in Destiny 2 like a character stat screen in a video game, or like a vehicle select in racing games, where it shows you a graph of speed, acceleration, handling, durability, or strength, dexterity, mana, intelligence, and different characters have different builds. In Destiny 2, the points on the diagram could be something like, but not limited to, the lethality of the build. Can it kill efficiently, or is it just about disrupting the enemy? The consistency of the build. Can your build play similar versus other builds? The jank involved. And you know the Destiny 2 jank I'm talking about. Basically something that desyncs you on the enemy screen or on your screen. You die to something nearly unreactable or something that you can't really track and fight back, and it just seems like a buggy interaction. That's the Destiny jank I'm talking about. Anyways, the next point on the graph I guess would be adaptability. Like, how does this build suit the needs of the map, or how does it adjust to other people's builds and other people's playstyle? And of course, the skill, trademark, required to, let's say, play optimally. Builds like an invis hunter on a 120 hand cannon and a slug would look something like this. And honestly, I can give you my thoughts on invis hunter in general, but that would take a whole nother separate video just as long as this one. Invis hunter 120 slug. It's fairly lethal. It's very consistent. The jank is moderate, but not too much really. And there's great adaptability with this kit for any map, any other playstyle. It just has the tools in its toolkit to succeed. And the skill required, it means that usually higher skilled players with this build can shine a little brighter, they can do a little bit more than lower skilled players rocking the same exact build. Let's take for example a recent build with the 190 plus melee stat with the Winterbite Glaive in your heavy slot, Weave Walk Strand Warlock, who just straight lines you from their Weave Walk, and they're just holding the Glaive melee key. If I were to graph it, yes, it's very lethal, but the consistency is lower, depending really on the map and the enemy's loadouts. The jank is pretty high because of the desync, the connections. If it were a clean connection every time, it would be a lot easier to fight against. The adaptability of the playstyle to the map is meh, because it really goes hard on some maps like Anomaly, but less so on maps like Eternity or very open maps. And the skill to play optimally is lower. It's kind of hard to tell the difference between a lesser skilled Weave Walk person Glaive melee build and a higher skilled person running the same build. They can typically get the same amount of kills or the same situations because the skill ceiling of that build is overall a lot lower. Similarly, think of a Peregrine Titan build and how you usually see that being played out in your experience. Now, it's the same kind of graph with high lethality and low stat distributions to the other points. Now, think of that build being piloted by a very talented, a goated PvP player versus maybe being piloted by a newer player. Do they play differently in your head? Which one gets better results? Sometimes the goated PvP player can't play as well in some scenarios, and they won't make the same plays as the newer player. For example, say Wallabra. I remember watching him try to play a Peregrine Titan build, and he was just so stuck in fundamentals, peak shotting, playing for advantage, playing his health, playing for his life, essentially, and he was not able to let himself get into the full roleplay of being this brave Peregrine Titan, turning a corner blindly with the confidence to take down the whole enemy team and win the round. The point being, there are many different builds in the game, but there are also the same builds that will be piloted by differing players with different strategies of how they are going to play out the round. So there's different motivations and different feelings of rewarding the player in these scenarios. And all of this lends to variety in Destiny 2. Destiny 2 builds attract a whole host of different players who have different motivations. Some are looking for a solid all-around build to become meta. But the promise of also build crafting a funny haha glaive go bonk or melee go type build, it brings in variety because different skill level players try different skill level builds and they pilot them to different degrees. Destiny 2 feels at its best for me personally in a 3v3 setting. In the comp playlist or the trials playlist, that's where I like to spend my time because I feel like I have more agency in choosing my engagements. I can plan out a play for the objective, or I can think about the long game and how supers would play out in a 4-4 round. In a 3v3 mode like Trials of Osiris, it almost feels like there's an attack and a defense and different game modes in the same game mode. For example, in a 3v3 game scenario, it starts in the opening with people poking from safety. They're looking for an opening, testing the enemy, being patient. Then as soon as the first pick happens, it's like, okay, now do we hold the body or do we play for res? Do we change our position and try to go for another kill or just use our abilities to secure the res? Are we offensive, defensive? And it gives you this agency in what you want to choose. And there's no other game that I've played that gives me that feeling paired with the movement, the interaction of the counterplay of abilities, the different builds, the different player bases who use builds for different goals. There's similar modes out there. Like I used to be an Apex enjoyer and they had a 3v3 arena mode in there. Or even think of like a CSGO scenario in which the encounters are very controlled. But Destiny has a lot more variety. You know, the so-called spice of life. Whereas other solidly structured games can be like a solid meal, like chicken breast and rice. I like my food with some spice and some kick and flavor in them. throw in that dash of variety, that pinch of variety, and it complements the meal so much more. It keeps things exciting and less repetitive, but the variety is just not overpowering to the sense that I still feel it's a controlled match, that typically the more mechanically skillful team wins, but there's that potential and that X factor that the underdog can make these crazy plays or do something a little bit different. I'm not going to talk down about other players because each person enjoys Destiny for their own way. I'm just thinking of ways to categorize players in my head. And if I think of like old Destiny PvP purists or maybe very competitive tourney players, Destiny veterans, or I don't know what to call them, maybe like Destiny boomers because they're set in their old ways and they don't want to embrace change or new things and they just like things the way it was. Maybe they're the ones that want the shoddy hand cannon, no items, Fox only, final destination. You can agree on some points. I think what they dislike is the potent abilities, the combinations of builds that are very high in lethality, high in jank, but low on the skill required to play, and low on consistency. I don't think Destiny boomers necessarily hate change itself, they just hate the rise of more and more builds and ability combinations that can generate a huge amount of lethality without needing the same skills and fundamentals that they've spent years mastering. It doesn't feel fair when you don't get out-aimed or outplayed by fundamentals, but you get outplayed by this mega combo of abilities and tracking projectiles, crowd control effects, and exotic synergies that are bundled up into a creative build. What I think is that most people don't enjoy, and what I really don't enjoy in Destiny is being forced into a jousting situation, basically a coin flip situation, a little gambling, and that everyone's kind of scrambling when someone makes a crazy rush or a crazy unpredictable play that really has no basis and shouldn't have been an option to go in the first place. In that, it's just hard to get consistent because these are coin flip toss-ups and it just goes either way. I really do understand that point of view that it's really annoying, and Bungie does try to nerf such abilities accordingly, but at the same time, people look forward to playing these different builds that give them the power and the agency to do so. And you take away the ability to build craft and use a combination of the Space Wizard abilities in your Space Wizard game. Eventually, you take things all away and it'll just be like shoddy hand cannon, burnout only, and now you're playing a different game. Something more like CSGO and less of a game that resembles the heart of Destiny. Now, don't take this the wrong way, but in a sense, I am happy that Destiny 2 is coming to an end, because there is coming to a point where there's going to be too many abilities, too much power creep, too many new weapon perks or combinations that give you these jousting situations and that give you this unfair feeling situations. And part of it has to do with the map. There are some maps that it's hard to gain control of the map, and there's just maps that lead more into these jousting and coin flip scenarios. But at the end of the day, I feel happy coming back to Destiny because there normally isn't a meta, or a meta in the sense that there's one best subclass and one best loadout, and if you're not on that, you're losing. Like, yeah, there can be arguments for certain things out there, but there's a lot of things to play that are still viable and are still competitive, and you're not locked into playing no items, Fox only, final destination. I am sad that Destiny 2 is ending. I've spent a lot of time with it. But I can't lie, I really am excited for this final update and how it's going to shake out, what people are going to play, what the meta, the strong builds are going to be, but there's also going to be a large list of off-meta builds of also viable and also enjoyable, and there's going to be a lot of variety, a lot of that spice of life to make this update good eating for everybody, and everyone comes to this update wanting to get their own little uniqueness out of it. There's players who amass like 100,000 kills on one single weapon, like Merciless, or Final Warning, or there's someone who's build crafting out there and who's trying to form some unique combination of perks just to get like a clip of 2 or 3 kills, but just to satisfy those conditions satisfies the gamer, you know? Shout out Cami Cakes. The PvP in this game to me just has this wonderful rhythm, this ebb and flow of knowing your position, the enemy's position. You hear gunfire at certain angles. You expect your team to react a certain way, the enemy team to react a certain way, and you're able to just feel like you're in a dance and get caught in the flow, just dancing for hours, dancing on multiple teams, and everyone's dancing to the same beat with similar steps because they know the game. Am I sad Destiny 2 is ending? Yes. I'm very sad. But I'm also happy I've got to enjoy everything. It's like a really good meal and a really good dessert. Yes, this is the last bite, but I'm super satisfied and I'm glad I got to enjoy it. There's the upside of not having more power creep and more abilities to contend with, and the possibility of Destiny even losing sight of what it once was. There's none of that now that it's kind of ending. It feels satisfactory to me. This video is really just my point of view and why I think I enjoy the game, and there's going to be people who don't agree with what I say, and maybe they enjoy Destiny for the complete opposite reasons to me, but isn't that still exciting? Thanks for sticking around to the end. I stream basically every weekend there's trials, and I do trials, helps, and carries pretty often, so come by and say hi. I'll drop links in the description. As a little bit of an extra, the thing I actually do really hate in this game is the melees, the non-powered melees. As much as I glaze Destiny 2 about feeling good, I just don't like the way the non-powered melees work, how they snap to the opponent. They cause visual rubber banding and crazy melee whiffs, and trying to shoot a Titan that's punching your teammates and you can't hit them because it's like trying to shoot a radar blip, and now they're gaining full health and now they're Dragon Ball Z teleporting at you. Uh, oh well. Can't be perfect, but I still enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you like, subscribe, follow, and all that jazz, and I'll see you next time I play Trials.